Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I am showing you a look at another character from Pokkén. Now, we've seen Garchomp, he's my main one, he's my favourite. I've made no qualms about that. We've seen a bit of Charizard, a bit of Gengar today. I'm showing you Sceptile, or Sceptile, depending how you would like to pronounce it. I'm not going to judge you. So I'm going for Cresselia and Reshiram as my support Pokemon, just because I really like... No, apparently I'm going Snivy and Lapras. Good attacking support Pokemon. So Sceptile is a little bit faster than we're used to. I'm doing some forward ranged attacks here. I miss a couple times, but I finally hit him with one, and we pop into Dual Phase. And I'm trying to Giga Drain there. And a Leaf Blade. I like Giga Drain, but Giga Drain is one of these attacks that you've got to get the spacing right on it. It hits a fairly narrow range, and it hits from a distance. So you've got to make sure you're close enough in order to actually hit it. However, I'm getting just a few things going on here. I am getting a strong attack from a jumping, which will then lead into a nice, easy little combo. And we're back in Dual Phase. I get another strong attack from jumping, and Weavile goes down. Now, I'm a little bit freaked out here because I'm fighting a person called Cornish. And for those of you that know me, I am in fact Cornish, and that's just a little bit strange. So we start off in Field Phase as always, and Weavile's got those ranged attacks, and he's getting some things going. He's getting some combos on me. And he uses his burst, so he is doing a little bit of extra damage. Now, I do hit with a Leaf Blade there, and I go straight into a Giga Drain. That is one of the combos the game tells you about. But this burst attack here from Weavile is hitting, and like all of these burst attacks, it does a fair amount of damage. But I pull my Lapras in. I've got that cheer, which is going to refill one of them between turns, and then straight away, I love that forward ranged attack from Sceptile, or Sceptile. It does a huge amount of damage, well, not a huge amount of damage, it does a fair amount of damage, but it knocks them back, and it puts you in Dual Phase. And Sceptile doesn't really like being too close, to be perfectly honest with you. He's got some nice ranged attacks, he's got things like Giga Drain, and I get my own burst off there. Can I hit with my burst attack? Now, unlike some of them, I mean, we've seen with Garchomp before, oh, and I do. No, I miss it. I actually messed up a little bit there, which is a little bit annoying. But, and there's a thing you've got to make sure you do with these burst attacks. You've got to try and make sure you actually hit with them, because it's awfully easy to miss. Good news is, even though I miss, I get it going. Now, one of the things I've noticed in Pokkén Tournament is that when you do your burst, when you use your synergy gauge, when you Mega Evolve for those Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, you sometimes get extra moves. Now, we saw in the Gengar video that Gengar gets a huge amount of extra moves. Garchomp gets only his burst attack. Sceptile gets one. He gets a single extra attack, and that's all he gets. Now, I'm going for Cubone and Diglett here as my support Pokemon. One of the things I like about Diglett is that he basically chases after your opponent's Pokemon. He knocks him up into the air. And Sceptile's got an attack I really quite like from that. So I like to kind of knock him up in the air and then use that attack. And it's pretty nice, to be honest with you. It does me some good. It's Leaf Storm, if anyone's wondering. Now, I'm first seeing it off against Garchomp here, and I know Garchomp. I know his tricks. I catch him with a Giga Drain nice and early. And it's a grab attack, so it often will go through the blocks, and there we go. That's my Leaf Storm. I like Leaf Storm. Now, I think it puts your attack down when you use it, but it's a nice little attack. It's good against people who jump a lot. Now, you'll notice in this fight, I'm actually using my spacing lots better. I'm hitting with those Giga Drains, and then I get my jumping attack straight into a combo, and then my Cubone comes out, gets a couple of attacks on him. And Garchomp is coming back a little bit. Remember, Garchomp's a power type. He does a lot of damage, but I catch him in midair with my Leaf Storm, and it is all over, ladies and gentlemen. And I take that first little fight. And now, and I've got the default cheer skill set, and I like the default cheer skill. It means that every round after the first one, I am going to have one of my support Pokemon fully charged. And now I've got my Diglett, he knocks him up into the air, and of course, as soon as he's up in the air, I can grab him with a Leaf Storm. He is in the air, and he is just at my mercy. Now, that's the other attack that Sceptile gets after he gets his Synergy Burst going. It is a Leaf Blade into a Dragon's Breath, I want to say? Dragon something or other. And it does a fair bit of damage, and there we go, I use it again. Now weirdly enough with that attack, you can actually use it with... You push A, and then you can use a number of attack buttons afterwards. I try Elite Seed there, but he doesn't walk into it, which is a little bit annoying. But, of course, you use it with Strong Attack, because then the Dragon's Breath does a lot more after the Leaf Blade, which is quite nice. So one of the things I haven't shown you enough with Sceptile here, or Sceptile again, I know there are different pronunciations, I'm sorry, I'm trying to flick between them, so on the one hand I'm kind of annoying everybody with this video, but on the other hand, I'm only annoying anybody part of the time, so I'm hoping I get a couple of brownie points for that. I'm hoping I get a little bit of a pass here. But one of the things that Sceptile does quite nicely, he's got things like Bullet Seed and Leech Seed that you can use from a little way away. And he can also hang from the top of the particular venue you're in. Now, truth be told, I'm not exactly sure how he hangs from the venue, but let's not worry about pedantic things like that. So I'm going again for Cubone and Diglett. I really like Diglett as a support Pokemon, not with everybody. But what he does when you use Diglett, as we've seen, he knocks the Pokemon into the air. And that means that you can follow up with combos, or, I mean, for instance, Machamp has got an air grab you can use, or you can use an air attack, or you can do what Sceptile does here, and you can use Leaf Storm to grab him in mid-air, which I quite like. So you see him running around there. I am facing off against the Gardevoir here. Gardevoir's got some good ranged attacks, so I try and keep away from them by running around when we're in the field phase. So I hit with a couple of Leaf Blades there, and I'm trying to get a little bit clever here. What I'm trying to do is something I figured out myself. I'm a little bit proud of this. If you use a backwards strong attack, then it knocks them up into the air, and you can immediately follow up with that Leaf Storm. So you knock them up into the air, and then you can grab them. Now, I was doing my hanging thing there, and I think it literally is just called a hang. You jump and hold R, or hold block if you prefer, and you just hang from the ceiling for a little bit. But of course, it doesn't do much when your opponent knocks you out of the air. As it is, I stay aggressive, as I tend to do. I hit with a few good attacks, I jump around, hit them on the way down, and I get the win in the first fight. And the reason I use this cheer skill is primarily so that in the second fight here, I know I've got my support Pokemon. So I tend to use my least favourite or my faster charging in the first fight, and my better one but maybe slower charging in the second. But you see, I failed to follow up with my Leaf Storm there, unfortunately. Little bit sad. And shamelessly, I just use back and strong attack. I eventually do hit them up into the air. I grab them with a Leaf Storm, and then I get my Synergy Burst on. And I again miss with my Burst attack. Now, some of them, it's much easier to hit than others. Sceptile's Burst attack, he just flies straight forward. So especially if you're in the field phase, it can be fairly difficult to hit. Well, not difficult, that's probably an exaggeration. But it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to hit with that burst attack. So as you're seeing from some of these fights here, and again, it's only Garchomp I'm putting a huge amount of time into. I'm really putting the effort in with Garchomp, annoyingly, because I'm starting to feel like Garchomp is not the best character in the game. The more I play, the more I'm thinking he's maybe a little bit slow, or maybe I'm just not good enough at the game yet. And I'm hoping it is a yet. I'm hoping I do get better as we go. But I've had a little bit of a play with Sceptile here. I've done a whole bunch of fights so that I can come and show you how he works in a video, show you some of the strategies you can use, give you an introduction, a flavour, if you will. And again, I'm going straight for Diglett. I like hitting him up in the air and grabbing him with a Leaf Storm. Shameless, I know, but what can you do? So, one of the things I have found about Sceptile is that his Synergy Burst attack, it is more difficult to hit with his than some of the others. Gengar, for instance, I found it very easy to hit with his. I found his was much easier to actually grab your opponent. So again, Gengar, we saw from the video I did with Gengar, he's good from range. He's got that punching attack he can use, and he's got those ranged attacks. So you have to be a little bit careful. I did a bunch of blocking, I knock him into dual phase, and I grab him with a Giga Drain. Gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I like that Giga Drain. And I get a couple of attacks in, follow it up with a Leaf Blade. And I did a Leaf Blade there, and I knocked him into the air a little bit because I knocked him into the barrier. Tried to follow up with a Leaf Storm, grabbing him in midair. What I should have done was just Giga Drain, but because I knocked him into midair, I should have grabbed him with a Leaf Storm. And these are things that we'll figure out over time. So you see there I managed to jump up, I hung from the ceiling, and I threw a ranged attack his way while I was doing it, why not? Now I tend to grab a bit less with Sceptile. As you've seen in some of my Garchomp videos, I grab quite a lot, because Garchomp, you get in close and you smack them in the face. And when you do that, they tend to block a lot, and because they block a lot, you then get in and do some grabbing. Sceptile in field phase, I quite like to jump up and hang and try and fall down on them. And then here, you see I get the Diglett, I knock him up, I grab him with the Leaf Storm. I tend to be a little bit less in your face, which means I'm confronted with blocks a little bit less, so I do grabs a little bit less. And you see here, again, I mistime that burst attack. And I've got nobody to blame but myself, though I do get the Leaf Blade Dragon Breath combo going quite nicely. And I get some ranged attacks that I'm hitting quite nicely with. But I knocked him up into the air, and then I got my burst attack. And that's very silly, ladies and gentlemen, because we've seen Sceptile's burst attack. Oh, well, actually, I've left it so long that Diglett did actually come out of his own accord. And now all I need is just one little hit, and Gengar's making a bit of a comeback. And what I'm doing here, I'm going away from the way I usually play. I'm trying to just run in and hit him in the face. And actually, if I just play like I usually do, I'll get a hit on him. So I try to get a little bit... I get a little bit less fancy trying to take that one last hit point away, when actually I could be doing a little bit better. Just, trying to Giga Drain, or, trying to Leaf Storm or something like that. Or a Leaf Blade even. Now, the reason I missed with the burst attack on that Gengar was I knocked him up into the air, and then I used his burst attack, which just goes straight forward in a straight line. Well, if you knock him up in the air and then try and go in a straight line, logic dictates you're going to go under him. But these videos at the moment, they're meant as a Pokkén diary. I'm showing you a character with whom I have not put in very much time at all. So what I'm trying to do is give you an introduction to the character, show you his moves, show you some basic strategies. This is not meant as a masterclass in Sceptile. I am hoping in the future I will be able to provide some videos that will be more masterclassy. These are meant for introduction and entertainment. So I'm in the final round of this 5-round set, and I am up against another Gardevoir. So again, I need to be careful. I hang from the ceiling, I fall for a ranged attack, but I get her with a Giga Drain. And I do get a Leaf Blade there, and I try the Giga Drain, but I'm too slow with the Giga Drain, and she dashes forward and gets away from me. But I'm able to hit her away a little bit. I'm getting some blocking down, and I'm careful of the blocking here, because I know that Gardevoir is good with those ranged attacks. But I do get the jumping attack, follow it up with a little bit of a combo, which is quite nice. And then in field phase, to be honest, I get a little bit aggressive, and it works quite nicely. And I get a block into a Giga Drain there, and that is very nice. I timed it beautifully, and I get a jumping attack there when they're not ready for it, and off we go. Life is good. And now we're in the second round of this particular fight, and that means I've got my Diglett fully charged. Now, truth be told, especially when you're using Diglett, who charges fast, you're better off using it sooner rather than later, because it gives time to charge. Now, if you're using something like a Reshiram that charges very slowly, the chances are, even if you use it right at the beginning, it's not going to charge in time to use it a second time. So Reshiram, you're best off saving for an opportune moment. Diglett comes out nice and quickly, and he doesn't take much time to charge, so you're actually best off using him nice and early, and then waiting and hoping that he's going to charge as you go through the fight. And you see here, Diglett is not far away. So I've weathered the storm of my opponent bursting, and again I hit miss with the burst attack. I'm a little upset with myself. I haven't missed every time, I hope not, but I haven't done a terribly good job of it. But this is how we learn. One of the things I like about Sceptile is after you do use your Synergy Burst, you've got that extra attack, the Leaf Blade into Dragon Breath, and it really is a nice little attack that does a whole bunch of damage, gets some attacks, and I'm going to finish off, it looks like, with just a fairly simple grab and throw. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is in a nutshell how Sceptile works. You've got some nice ranged attacks with things like Leech Seed and Bullet Seed and Giga Drain. He's got some nice ranged attacks when you're in dual phase, or field phase I should say, and you can jump around and hang from the ceiling, which is quite good. I don't get quite so in your face as I do with Garchomp, but I think that's the nature of the character. So yeah, in your face, Cornish, Amelia, Renato, Colette and Hinato. Boom. I done beat all you fools. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, you know the deal. Click that like button, it will take you but a second. Make sure you subscribe, and if you've already subscribed, get a friend to do so on your behalf. And of course, the most important thing is to look after yourselves until next time. More Pokkén videos coming, more trading card game videos coming. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be wonderful. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.